Well, good morning, church. I'm so glad you're part of our daily Devo today. Today we're in 1 Samuel chapter 17. Now, you may not know 1 Samuel 17, but if I say the story of David and Goliath, you know what it is. Now, hopefully you know because you read it. If not, I would ask you to stop, go and read it, then come back. See, this is a story that's so well known. As a matter of fact, people who don't know it's in the Bible, if you say this is David against Goliath, then they know what it means. The NCAA basketball tournament will be starting next week. And guess what? People will be looking for what they call David versus Goliath battles, where the little team takes out the big team. So people know about it. And sometimes when you know a lot about something in Scripture, we can tend to almost shoot through it. And I think at times like this, it's very important that we read the Bible, I say with kind of a naivety, an ignorance to reading before. We read it as if we've read it for the first time. So I tried to do that. And when I first read it, I started thinking, was David this great character of faith, or was David just like a recent song says, young, dumb, and broke, and didn't know any better? And he was challenging, and it wasn't David's faithfulness, it was God's faithfulness that went in and took out Goliath, that had his back. And as I read it, I really think it was that David was such a unique and faithful person that God used. It wasn't just that he stepped out in presumption and God covered him, but I think he really was prepared for this by God. First we see that David was prepared in the shadows. This wasn't for him first time facing something scary. David said, I've taken out, lions and bears, and he's been in battle before. And I think the application for us in that is saying sometimes things that may not seem significant, when we're faithful, when we're disciplined, when we do what's before us with excellence, many times we're being prepared for a task that's far greater than we can ever imagine. But if we say, I'll give my best, once I have the opportunity, once I have a big task, that's not where you prepare yourself. You prepare yourself when no one's looking and you're faithful, and that's what David did. I think next we can see that David's courage wasn't being naive. It was perspective. See, he had seasoned warriors all around him who were scared to battle Goliath. And here he comes as a young kid. He's ready to stand against him. Why? See, the reason why is all the other soldiers were comparing Goliath, who was up here, and they were down here. What David did is he compared Goliath, who was here, and God that was way up here. And he knew that perspective, he was okay, because David might be intimidating to everyone else, but compared to God, that perspective made him smaller. And I think sometimes when we're facing things, we measure it against our strength, our ability to handle it, our ability to do it. And at times like that, we have to fall and look, God, I can't handle it. It's beyond me. But you know what? It's not beyond you. And we need to change our perspective from how we'll handle the problem to God, how can you handle the problem? And I love that the last part, David's boldness inspired others. When I read it, again, kind of reading it like I've never read it before, I think, why in the world would Saul send David into a battle that he's going to be slaughtered in? And if he's going to send him this battle and they said, hey, the winner, this is for one man take it all, why would he send him? But see, I think Saul sent him because he expected him to be slaughtered. But he thought when his brothers saw it and the other Israelites saw it, they would be so mad and angry, they would pile into the battle and the battle would start. And though he knew one man may not be able to take Goliath out, he knew an army of men could take out him and the Philistines. So I don't think Saul expected him to prevail. But David did prevail. And when he did, it did what Saul hoped. It got everyone in the battle, but it was a battle of victory, where all of a sudden, when they saw what God could do through David, they had faith that God could use them too. And sometimes our faith inspires others. Our trusting God inspires others. So I hope as you read this story, I don't know what you're facing today. Maybe you have a Goliath task before you. Maybe you have something you're trying to figure out, how am I going to do this? And I think in those times, first understand, maybe God's been preparing you. Maybe it looks big, but maybe your past faithfulness has got you ready. I would say, in whatever you're facing, have a perspective. It may be way bigger than you, but it's never way bigger than God. So have that perspective. And third, understand that your boldness, your faith, God may use to encourage others to walk with him. Guys, thank you so much for joining us for our daily Devo. So glad you're part of it. I hope you'll continue tomorrow.